Hello. Hi,
We are here.
everybody. Yes, my name is Petronia Belmar, and I am with the SBN network. And I have the distinct pleasure of doing an interview with this gentleman on today. And I'm going to let him introduce himself. How about that? Will you tell us who you are?
Sure, absolutely. I just want to make sure that it is showing on your end first and foremost. And yep, it is definitely showing that you are live. So let me just go ahead and just share this over with everybody so they can go ahead and jump on. And then we will go ahead and get this party started because this is actually historic, ladies and gentlemen. So, just to let you know about our host here, this is our very first podcast interview, and it's an exclusive one. It is awesome. Why? Because she is speaking with someone that has been with this organization for quite some time. I am the partner and CEO of SBN, a Small Business Network. Shawn A. White, hailing all the way here in a small town in which you may or may not have heard of. I'm not quite too sure, but I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. Right. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
we've heard of Atlanta. Come on now.
All right. Awesome. 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 And also, too, as it says here on the screen, I'm also the founder and creator of a brand which is called Transformation Greatness, which is all about motivating, encouraging, and inspiring the masses. And with that, it's a threefold phase. So I'm a speaker, a coach, a hypnotherapist practitioner. I am also a radio and TV personality with this fine organization, and I'm a part of many other exclusive organizations as well. But again, guys, this is very special because this is the very first one that Petronia is actually doing. So, congratulations to you for actually stepping up and taking on this challenge. But I can assure you that once you get the hang of doing podcasts, believe me, from somebody that has started out doing audio podcasts to doing these now, it's going to radically transform your career. I can definitely tell you that. I can tell you that.
And encouragement. I really do. So, will you tell us a little bit more about this transformation greatness? What does
Sure,
that entail?
sure, absolutely. So, transformation greatness, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, it's a threefold phase. So, it consists of me as being a speaker. I done had the opportunity of speaking on many different platforms, mostly virtual. This is something in which I would like to say, right, that as far as it was by my own genius, but actually I've been given the gift of speaking, of empowerment, of motivating, encouraging, and inspiring the masses. And this has been God given, so to speak. In addition, as well, I'm also a coach, so I'm certified as being a mindset and also an impact life coach as well. And with that, I don't have my certificates behind me though, but definitely, let's just say I done put the time in. And also, as being a hypnotherapist practitioner, I have over 500 hours of hypnotherapy and learning various aspects from NLP to past life regression, guided imagery, and so much more through HMI Institute. And so, with that family, I am honored and privileged to be able to have these special skill sets, and which would allow for me to help individuals go down a much deeper level in order for them to achieve 100% of the results in which that they are achieving for, because in the end, it's all about transformation, and with transformation it comes greatness as well with that individual. So thus transformation greatness has been birthed. And with the combination of me being a radio and TV personality, it also gives me a platform to be able to provide value and really help small business entrepreneurs, professionals, those that's even inspiring or aspiring, excuse me, to become entrepreneurs. I'm able to use these platforms as a way to really reach out to them and help them along the journey of being an entrepreneur to pursue their goals and dreams. Because as you see, this journey is not easy. And trust me, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But the reality is, to be a successful entrepreneur, or in order to do anything successful, it requires a certain mindset shift, right? It requires a certain mentality in which that you have to have. The thing is that with entrepreneurship, and one of the things I had to learn when I first started was that as soon as you start, believe me, it's a journey. Yeah, more times than not, you're not going to make $1 million within your first year. Don't get me
Exactly.
wrong, there are individuals that are able to do that, but that's kind of far in between. The reality is this: entrepreneurship is just like with life. You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs, you're going to have your pitfalls, you're going to have your good weeks or months, and then you're going to have months where you're like, wait a minute, I've been doing the same thing, I've been saying the same thing, I've been promoting the same thing, but yet I'm getting crickets. Guess what? Welcome to entrepreneurship. Okay.
And even
Yeah.
the IRS
This is not
realizes
easy.
that. Even the IRS realizes that are not going to be an overnight success. They
Correct.
realize it's going to take years,
Correct,
yeah,
correct.
to get
But
that done.
but the beautiful journey is, and this is something in which I want everybody to get, and this is one of the things which I had to learn doing this for about 14 years. A lot of people, they look at the results and they're like, man, I achieved the results, or I haven't achieved the results, because we're in a results driven society, right? But there's a one thing that people miss the most through all that. Do you know what that is, Petronia?
Tell us.
The becoming,
Ooh wee.
the journey. Because
Yes.
I can tell
Mm.
you, from when I first started 14 years ago to where I'm at now, my mindset has changed so much that there were individuals in which I associated myself with and hung out with then, that I cannot hang out with and associate myself with now. And the reason being is because I have grown in terms of my personal development journey. I have grown as being an entrepreneur. I have grown as being an individual. So my mindset has shifted and changed. And likewise, theirs as well. It's just that we're at different stages of our life in which we're not in alignment with each other. And that's okay. And that's okay. This includes family members and friends as well. So keep in mind, it's all about the becoming. Who are you becoming during this journey of you being an entrepreneur? That's
And
the biggest thing.
one of my sayings is, it's not odd, it's God. One of the ventures that I'm involved with It Works, with health and wellness business, one of our leaders, has a whole YouTube series, and it's entitled Becoming. And she is constantly having us to listen to it and go back and listen to it. And it's a several video series. But you're so right regarding that mindset. And then I was looking at the name of your business, the Transformation Greatness, and such an appropriate name for such a time as this. We all need to be transformed in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But let's not just be transformed any old kind of way, in any old kind of manner. Let us be transformed into greatness. Let us be transformed into greatness. So I love that. It has to be a God inspired name.
It,
Yes.
it was, and I can give you some backstory on that if we have time.
Sure, go ahead.
So about 8 years ago, and when I tell this story, I say it with emotion because I can still feel it, right? I remember when how this all came about is that, well, actually, let me backtrack it a little bit more. So I came up here to Atlanta, Georgia, on some very interesting circumstances. Let's just say that by the end of that, or the beginning of my tale, if you will, you're speaking to someone that was homeless, broken financially, emotionally, spiritually, every which a way that you can think. I pretty much was broken. I was left abandoned. And quite frankly, I didn't know anyone here in this small city of Atlanta, Georgia. And part of the start of my journey was that I was in the train station. I was there pretty much for the whole day. That was on a Friday, trying to contact this individual, pretty much abandoned. Stayed there till about Saturday, kept calling, nothing. By Sunday, I had to leave because I was there for 48 hours. I had nowhere to go. Only thing I had was just basically $300, and I had as far as my suitcase full of my clothes. Well, guess what? I had to then go to the Salvation Army, which I was there for 24 hours. I had to sleep on a cold floor, be all around different types of individuals, right? Then from there, I had to go to the rescue mission for a few days, in which I want you to think about this. In a situation where everything that could go wrong possibly went wrong, you talk about a state of confusion, doubt, anger, resentment, sadness, all those emotions all rolled into one. Mind you, I'm in a city in which I don't know anyone, and I'm in the downtown area, which anybody knows about downtown Atlanta is no joke.
Right.
Okay. Thank God for Georgia Works program.
Okay.
Man, that was something else. But I want to fast forward this story because I want to get to your other questions as well, because this is not a sob story whatsoever. I don't want nobody to take any pity, but I want to give you context on how transformation greatness came about. Fast forward to about June or July. Came out of church. I'll never forget this day. So as long as I live, I was actually right next to it was like a park, but it was also to the institution as well. It was to the jail. And I was sitting there in the park and I'm listening to gospel music, right? And I'm just, vibing. It was on a Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever seen the movie The Matrix with Keanu Reeves? Has anybody seen that? Yes, no, maybe, perhaps. Okay, I'll take it as a yes because I can't see no comments. Now, I want you to focus on the scene when Keanu Reeves was walking through the city and he was really trying to figure out his life. He was in a dead end job. He had no idea on what was the direction going in his life. And then Morpheus spoke to him and everything froze. Do you remember that scene? Where everything just froze. And at first, he thought it was a figment of his imagination. That happened to me as well. And so my higher power reached out to me and said these words: I hear your cries and I have heard your prayer. And your brand will be transformation greatness. And you will be able to motivate, encourage, and inspire the masses, show others that it's possible to overcome their self-limiting doubts and beliefs. Not only will you show others that it's possible, but you're going to go ahead and walk the walk and talk the talk. You're going to travel all around the world showing others that it's possible, not by your sake, but by mine. And not only will you be contributing, but also, too, you'll be giving back and showing others that it's possible. As clear as day. Now, two things can be true. It could have even been my conscience, or it could have been a divine intervention. I chose divine intervention, but I
Absolutely.
still didn't believe. I said, okay, yeah, that's fine, whatever. Everything went back to normal. Cars was moving, people were moving. Everything went back to normal. It's funny how the way God works, right? Because He got my attention again a second time. Everything stood still. This time the voice was even louder, so crystal clear. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, transformation greatness was birthed off of that because I was in a crossroads. I could have either accepted it, and which I'm so glad I did, or I could have just ignored it. And you know what? It's a strong possibility we wouldn't be having this conversation. And so every single time I get an opportunity to showcase my talents, to be able to help another individual, it is my level of appreciation to God of what He did for me. Because I didn't grow up in church, pretty much a street kid, pretty much like the early part of my life. And so this is my way of really giving back. And any way I can motivate and encourage and inspire someone, at least if it's one person, at least one person, Miss Petronia, then I've done my job. I have done my job. And so that's how transformation has been birthed. For the past 8 or 9 years, it's been retooled, been learning, growing, stretching myself. And you know what? If somebody were to ask me, in which they did, that if I had to do it all over again, would I do it anything differently? And I said, absolutely not, because it's all about the becoming.
Yes, that term is just keeps coming back. And listening to your testimony, listening to your story reminds me about Eli and Samuel in the Bible, and how it was said, if you hear the voice one more time, it's God. And go ask God, tell God, I am here, I'm your servant, and let me know what you want me to do. I'll do your will. And you did just that. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but you did that very same thing. So that is so wonderful. Now, so you kind of, in a way, kind of tilted a little bit toward mindset in the fact that you talked about becoming. Tell me a little bit about the hypnotherapy. I talked to you a little bit about this the other day, and that's really interests me.
Sure, absolutely. So the best way I could explain hypnosis is this. Hypnosis is a state of being. It is something in which that we go through on a day in and day out basis. Many people, when they hear the term hypnosis, they get spooked or terrified. I mean, just like me too. Like, guys, I was right there with you. I had my doubts, I had my reservations. Right, the power of TV and movies is interesting, right? But I can prove to each and every single one of you that we all go through a state of hypnosis each and every single day, and I can prove it in 3 or 4 instances. You want to know how? All right, awesome. So, first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, when you wake up in the morning, how many of you jump out of bed? Or it takes you about a few moments to gather your bearings and realize exactly on where you're at?
Get my bearings about myself.
Okay. So,
Unless I'm late. If I'm late for
correct.
something, I hop out of bed.
Correct. So that's one state of hypnosis. The reason being is because you're coming out of the dream state, and there's different levels to that. But another topic for another day. If somebody wants to learn that, another topic for another day. Second is this: how many times have you had gone to a destination, driving, taking a bus, walking, wherever have you, and you have gotten there on autopilot without even thinking, without even, knowing when to, press the brake or even to accelerate on the gas pedal. You knew when to go left, when to go right. You knew which street or avenue to go to. How many times have you done that in the course of your life without even thinking about that?
Yesterday, I'm like, I was leaving here going toward the highway, and I couldn't even remember how I got to the highway. But I knew
Exactly.
I was there, and I was thanking God that I got there, but I didn't even know how I got there.
Exactly. That's another form of hypnosis.
Wow.
Now, there are individuals that saying, okay, yeah, but that's not hypnosis. I'm not convinced. I got something that's even more better. Check this out. How many of you have watched a movie or a favorite TV show? Think about it. Movies is about anywhere between an hour and a half to about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours at best. TV show, half an hour, an hour. How many of you have watched a movie or a TV show and were so emotionally attached to it that literally time just stood still and you was fully engaged in that movie or TV show?
Absorbed in it. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just explained three examples of you. Oh, sorry, three examples of hypnosis. You see, hypnosis is a way of life. We do a lot of things subconsciously without even thinking about it, such as washing our face, brushing our teeth, right? Moving, stretching, even right now, breathing. We're not thinking about that because it's subconscious, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have to think about that, it's automatic. The way it works is this: because our subconscious minds, and if you notice one point here, our subconscious minds is pretty much, and some may debate 80, 85, 90, 95%. Doesn't matter the number. The bottom line, that's our most dominant brain. that basically rules and predicts our everyday life because we are creatures of habit. We also have what is known as the conscious mind. That's the logic, that's the reasoning, that's the decision making. That's where, ladies and gentlemen, as you're listening to this podcast, you're determining on whether this is worth value or is worth you even skipping. This is allowing you on listening to the words that's coming out the sound of my voice, right? You are processing that and you're saying, "Oh, okay, well, you know what? This is making sense. Okay, I didn't know that." Or you're like, "Man, this is nonsense. He's just talking a whole bunch of woo woo nonsense." That's your conscious mind. So with hypnotherapy, the way that it works is that I'm able to work with anyone, hear what I'm saying, anyone that may have a that pardon me, that may have a presenting or pressing issue ranging anywhere from self-esteem, confidence, fear of public speaking, fear of flying. Say for instance, being in crowds, for an example, making phone calls, right? Because that's part of public speaking. Hypnotherapy helps with over 150 different presenting issues. So, in short, to kind of land my plane, so to speak, me being as the hypnotherapist, I would then be able to work with you together. So, I'm working with your subconscious mind, okay, which is the dominant part. You, the other hand, as the client, is working with the logic part, the conscious mind, the logic, the reasoning, the decision making, and the willpower. And thus, what we are doing is that we're working on 100% of the results in which that you are looking for, but it only works through positive suggestions. Meaning that if we were to have a session, I would ask you some questions, basically get a general idea and a flow. So it's a little bit more in detail. But then I will also ask you, instead of you feeling like this, how would you like to feel instead? So I'm using the power of NLP, which is in conjunction with hypnotherapy. And thus, I can tell you the clients in which that I have helped previously in the past, they can tell you they have seen some vast results. Now, some people are able to see immediate results, but most people in the world, they see results over a certain period of time. Why? Because the attitudes, the patterns, the behaviors that a person then adopted, they didn't get that overnight. It was a constant span of years. More times than not, these were beliefs and habits that they done adopted from others, primarily their parents. So I hope I answered that question.
You, I'm going to have to definitely have you back on the show at another time to go more in depth about what all you're involved in. And I'm sure that the things that you have told us today is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm
It is.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And we're going to, do you have anything else? I want you to tell us how to contact you in case
Yeah.
somebody does want to get in touch with you.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm available on all the social media platforms. First and foremost, on Facebook, I go as Shawn A. White. You will see as far as my face and also with the SBN, a small business network logo on the back. You can reach me as far as on Instagram. I go under Mr. underscore politic 35. On YouTube, I go as Shawn A. White. On TikTok, Shawn A. White as well. On LinkedIn, Shawn A. White, Transformation Greatness. I'm also on Threads. I'm pretty much everywhere. On email, you can reach me at Mr. Politic 3838 at gmail.com. And also, if you want to just reach out to me or shoot me a text at area code 470-542-9320. Again, that contact number, ladies and gents, is area code 470-542-9320. Back to you, Patrona.
Have to ask you before we go, what's behind the Mr. Politic?
Ah, the short version is that basically the streets done label me Mr. Politics because I was a person that I can go out there and spark a conversation with anybody, and they love on how the way I would be able to adapt to anyone, whether it be to a business professional or whether to someone from the streets or to a hustler, whatever. And they so always say, "Man, he always be politicking, man. He always be networking." And so somebody else was like, "Yeah, that's Mr. Politic." And I turned around, I was like, "What you say?" It was like, "Yeah, you Mr. Politic, man. You should be a politician." I
Okay.
said, "You know what, Mr. Politic, I like it,"
And it stuck with you.
and it
Well,
stuck with
I
me.
tell you, it has been a complete pleasure talking with the Shawn A. White, you guys, with Transformation Greatness and the SBN. My name is Petronia Belmar. I am also with the SBN. If you want to know how to get involved with radio, TV, get in touch with either one of us. You can hit me up through Facebook, through Lord, I can't even talk, Instagram or any of those. YouTube, I have a YouTube channel as well. So just get in touch with me, and either one of us can tell you how to get involved with the Small Business Network. You won't regret it. And again, Shawnee, you want to close us out with any other information that you want to share before we go?
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, as we mentioned earlier, as far as in the show, it's really all about mindset. And there are a lot of people in which that I have come in contact with over the years. And one of the things in which that I have noticed with people in general is that people want better out of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care as far as if you have just strictly a 9 to 5, which by the way I do, or you have a business and you're either doing successful or not successful, or you have a skill or a passion, whatever have you. People always want to do better, and that is something that is built within. That's the reason why there are events. That's the reason why people love going to concerts, social gatherings, etc., etc. The thing you have to ask yourself is that if you're really looking to take it to the next level and you're really looking to create a legacy, who is it that you have to become in order to do so? Because you see, there's no way, and I'm going to use an example, there's no way that you can become a millionaire if you still have a $30,000 mindset. Does that make sense? And the reason being is because that $30,000 mindset won't know on how to handle on what's to be like a millionaire. It will be very strange and very unfamiliar and uncomfortable. And what that $30,000 mindset would do is do everything in which that it can to self-sabotage it in order to stay comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order for you to become a millionaire, what you have to do, you have to start developing the habits of what it would be like to be a millionaire, to start learning and growing more about yourself as an individual, about your profession, about your craft, develop the necessary skills, the soft skills, the sales skills, the marketing. All of that is very, very important. And then remember, it's all about the being. Who do you want to be? What does that person look like? If they were a millionaire, what would be an example of a perfect day? What kind of car you want to drive? What color is it? Why do you want that particular type of car? You have to get very specific. Just saying that I want to be a millionaire, that's not going to cut, right? Because it's like, okay, fine, everybody wants to be a millionaire, but why? I love to ask a question, and it's some people it used to irritate a lot. I like to go 9 levels deep on the why,
I
and
was
the reason
say
why
that.
the
Why?
reason
Well,
why
so and so and so and so. But why? So and so. But why?
correct there is a reason behind that because what I've noticed is that most people will get frustrated by the fourth or fifth one. But when you really, it's all about the power of framing it. And when you get down deeper to the levels, what happens is that when a person is able to think about that and really speak it, now subconsciously it gets lodged into here. So now what happens because your why is so strong, so that means that when life hits, guess what? You won't be so easy just to fall off the map, so to speak. Maybe down for a little second, but you'll bounce back because subconsciously that why is so strong that it's going to force you to be like, okay, what can I do to reinvent myself? This is not working. Okay, why that's not working? Who do I need to connect with? What systems do I need in order to get to that level? That's very important. And secondly, you're never too late. You're never too late. I don't care if you're 80 or 80 years old. As long as you're alive and breathing on this planet Earth, you have an opportunity, but you must make a committed decision. You can't teeter. You can't say, "Oh, you know what? I want to be an entrepreneur," and then the next day, "I don't want to be an entrepreneur." It's not going to work. You have to be either all in on your dreams and your career and your goal, or be all out. But being in the middle, teeter tottering, that's not going to work. And most people teeter totter.
Well, thank you so much for all your time. Thank you for coming on, sharing your expertise with us. And I can't wait to interview you on another occasion. And I hope that you accept that invitation.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Well, until the next time, guys, my name is Petronia Belmar. I am with the Small Business Network and my guest, Shawn A. White, as well. And we hope to talk to you all again soon. Y'all have a blessed day. Yes.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, before we hang up, this is going to be the first of many different podcasts that you're going to be seeing from Petronia Belmar. So remember the name, Petronia Belmar. She will become a household name. So you see that smile? You're
Yes.
going to be seeing that pretty smile a lot more. So
All righty then.
hold on to your hats, and ladies, you hold on to your wigs too. I'm just saying.
All right. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Uh-huh.
Good night.